And as the panelists, we should have Nancy Sumari from Jenga Hub. Maybe you can confirm with a hello. Hello, Nancy. Okay, we'll come back later. Mr. Deo Sabokwigina. Greetings, Deo.
Hello.
Hello, habari.
Greeting. Salama.
Mr. Edgar Job, we greeted earlier.
Yes.
Habari once again.
Nzuri.
Okay, Sana Lukanda. Hello, Sana. Sana, no, we cannot hear. Okay, we'll come back later. And Anna Dementyeva. Greetings, Anna. Okay, we will see how we handle the sound issues afterwards. But maybe we can also check the presence when I do this first item. Now, the overall topic is that is driving our discussion now is best practices in learning and digital education from Finland and Tanzania, exploring collaboration opportunities. So maybe to kind of get us started, I would invite each one of the panelists to introduce themselves and what they do, give one or two important things that you are doing in relation to the theme topic of our panel today, and try to kind of squeeze that into 2 minutes, because of course with the ambassador speech and so on, we need to catch up with time. So 2 minutes introduction, and what do you play with in this area? So maybe if I go with my list again, I'll start with Nancy, if Nancy's online yet.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, hello, Nancy.
Hi, how are you?
Karibu.
Asante sana.
Yeah, did you hear the question? Or should I repeat?
I'm having trouble with connection, but if you could be so kind to repeat it, please.
Okay, so it was to summarize in 2 minutes, introducing yourself and also saying one or two things that you are doing in relation to the theme topic of today on learning and digital education.
Sure. So my name is Nancy Sumari, and I'm from Tanzania. I'm a published children's book author, social entrepreneur, specifically the edtech space. So I'm the founder of the Jenga Hub, which is essentially a space that serves children between the age of 7 and 12 years old to try to empower them digitally using technology tools to creators in Industry 4.0 and beyond. We work very closely with teachers to empower them and skill them with design thinking skills and curriculum as well, to ensure that we are really bringing design thinking into classrooms in the country to allow learning to become more fun, and to just encourage both the teacher and the learner, especially during the time that technology is really taking and playing a key role, to allow them to play their part, to become content contributors, and really think about challenges in a more dynamic fashion, and enabling them to use tools to not just for themselves, but the around them. And I'm very excited to be here today to share and to learn from everyone.
Karibu. And can I now invite also Deo to give us his 2-minute intro? Deo, can you hear us? Hello, Bwana Deo. Okay, while we're waiting for Deo, can I maybe get Edgar online, please? Karibu, Edgar.
Santa Edward. Good afternoon to everyone. As introduced, my name is Edgar Job. I work for Tanzania Private Sector Foundation, which is an apex body of the private sector in Tanzania, and where we our main goal is trying to advocate for conducive business environment in Tanzania. But more specifically, I coordinate a project called Sector Skills Council. It's a World Bank project, which was commissioned by the Minister of Education, Science and Technology to TPSF, where the main objective is to bridge the existing skill gap and mismatch amongst student graduates. So we have a number of interventions that we run around trying to bridge the skills in our human capital. So in a nutshell, that is it.
Thank you, Edgar. Do we have Adele back online? I can see your avatar is flashing here. Okay, maybe then Sanna, please, if I can welcome you. Sanna, hello, Sanna, can you hear us? Or Dale? Okay, this says. Maybe while we're trying to sort of Anna, maybe you can give us your intro, please. Hello.
And that she might have some connectivity problems. So that's hopefully she'll be able to join at some point. But my name is Anna Dementyeva. I am Russian, but living in Finland. And very shortly about me, well, the first part of my professional life, I was focusing on pedagogy and education. I have a degree in pedagogy and been teaching in school, university, and many other places. Then other part of my professional life, I moved on to business. I got another degree in business, and I started helping future and existing entrepreneurs to start their businesses or to develop their businesses. And now for the past several years, I managed to combine these two, so pedagogy and business. And I've been very active in the EdTech field. So at the moment, I'm a program manager at xEdu, which is a Helsinki-based accelerator for EdTech startups. So in my case, it's all about the EdTech, future of education, pedagogy, and startup entrepreneurship. Very happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Anna, and good to have you on board and looking forward to the discussion. So I'm going to jump to the question, but can I check again if we're able to connect with Dale? No, on Sana. Okay. Maybe, Anna, if you can stay online, I'll start with you on the first question. It's just to understand if of any maybe collaboration background that in your position you may have had in Tanzania, or if not, then if you are considering something already. Very short, please. Hello, Anna?
And yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. It was silent. Yes, please continue.
So in our accelerator, we are receiving applications from all around the world, and we have had quite a lot, or some good amount from different African countries. But we haven't, well, we had the one company that went through our company, not from Tanzania yet, but no other collaboration yet. But we would be really interested to start collaboration because we understand the importance of the development of education and also learning from African countries as well. So that sounds like the future.
Indeed. And indeed, this is the right platform to maybe identify some of those possibilities. So, Sana, were you able to join? Okay, no. Okay, maybe I would then move the same question to the Tanzanian panelists. So Edgar and Nancy, maybe if I start with Nancy, have you had any interactions with Finland or the Nordics in general in your work around learning and education?
Not specifically. I've had in the NGO space, and it's something that into scaled one of those countries that have really made a lot of headway, specifically in education. And we want to really bridge that gap, especially in terms of pedagogy and curriculum, and seeing ways in which we can be able to adopt some of the best practices. I know the contexts are different, but I'm sure that we can be able to strike some few areas where we can learn a great deal from how they've managed really all of these strides in education, and ways in which we can really integrate here in Tanzania in our classroom.
Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. Again, a timely theme, it seems, this one. So, Edgar, what about from your vantage point?
Well, as I said earlier, we are in the business of promoting skills, skills amongst students, and we are currently running a new approach, a sector skills approach. It's something very new in Tanzania, but it's something that has been very successful in other countries, particularly in Europe and America and some other African countries. And we have partnered with a number of DPs, but not particularly someone from Nordic. But once again, we are very open to if the opportunity presents itself, because we are learning, and hopefully if we get a chance to partner with someone to share experiences on how to properly pull the agenda to fruition.
Okay.
Yes.
I think, yeah, this is quite interesting, because we actually have one talking point later, which might be really touching your area. So looking forward to that. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So I think this ends the scene quite nicely before we move on to our next topic. But I have one small practical issue, in the understanding the practicalities of teleworking. There is someone at the door, so I need to catch that one. Just give me 10 seconds, please. Sorry about this. Okay, sorry for that intermission. So the next topic is one that is related to something that is happening, of course, all around us, and it's about the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, and how what we will be trying to understand here is how Tanzania and Finland has managed to cope with a change in terms of education and learning under these current circumstances. So essentially, how has digital education and digital learning in these respective countries been equipped to be able to cope with the restrictions that came with the pandemic? When researching this topic, I found some interesting figures from Finland, which of course our Finnish panelists may also add on top of that. But just to give us some reflection here. One item I noted from a survey was that there was about an 88% acceptance rate in Finland for this transition to remote learning. Now, to be able to do remote learning, you have to have, as a prerequisite, of course, a good internet connection. Not just any internet connection, but a connection that would allow you to be within the learning environment and to interact without any obstacles. So if I can tease again with another stat, in Finland, in the same survey, 82% of those who responded said that the internet connectivity they had at that time at home and so on allowed them to seamlessly move into remote learning. So if I can maybe go to our Tanzanian panelists first to understand the setup of the or the possibilities of the internet connectivity in Tanzania, and essentially, did it facilitate or did it inhibit the transition to remote learning, or was there any transition in any form in that sense? Let's start with Nancy first, maybe from your perspective.
Thank you, Edward. So as you can imagine, it's the problems. Only because of the fact that the tools are not necessarily accessible to all children around the country, and that equity is not really spread around in say the same way or the same context that, for example, Finland has, even though it's something that we're keen to achieve. Not the case, and then proved to be quite essential is how teachers really rose up to the occasion and began, for example, I myself have witnessed teachers sort of realizing learning packets for their students and working really closely with local government and using their own access to technology to be able to then allow them to disseminate that information through these packets. And so
Hello?
For example, the teacher parents continuity are, but I cannot claim to has been this way in every single community far and wide, but I can confidently say that teachers have really rose up in a specific case, not with technology there in the first place.
Okay. Sorry, Nancy. I think your voice at some points there were some fade outs here and there, but I managed to get at least some of the main gist. And one thing that I picked up was this teachers rising up to the occasion to use these learning packets and to disseminate them to students. If I can have maybe a follow-up question on this, was this a phenomena that was mainly limited to certain urban areas and maybe a certain demographic or certain sort of income level, or is it something that was maybe widely available in rural areas or even urban areas, but below certain families of certain income level?
So obviously it came with its own sets of challenges. Of course, income level is not, again, it's not, our teachers, unfortunately, are not the best paid profession. But again, they really, some of them even was a business opportunity of sorts. So a parent can access the packet for as little. The teacher it keeps them motivated, but also the fact that the parents who are in support and the children are then accessing the continuity in education to be a win-win situation. So I think it was that the teachers were creative with it, but then a bit of income from it.
Okay, I think I don't know. At least for my feed, I kind of lost you here, Nancy. Yeah, so maybe we continue. So, sorry about this, Nancy, but I think I lost you in my feed at least. Maybe it could be for the others. But one valuable thing I picked up from your discussion was even how some of the teachers who managed to leverage the opportunities actually that were created from these COVID challenges to come up with new business ideas on how to disseminate the learning materials and so on. I think this is something very very interesting to pick up, and maybe it even links to the earlier session that we had on entrepreneurship and so on. Edgar, if I can invite you as well, Bucket, to say something about COVID and the impact it had on you, or at least or insights that you may have around it, and how learning and education has managed to continue even with maybe some of the internet challenges and so on.
All right, thank you, Edward. Well, COVID, as I guess everyone knows, brought a number of challenges when it came to learning and education at large, and I would say it was one of the most important factors in pushing technology-enabled enhanced learning. Because you would say technology helps in delivery and even in assessment of education. And back to what Nancy said, just to cement what she said, I think a lot of people adopted, and a lot of training providers adopted online technology enhanced learning. But at the end of the day, it came back to the level of income of families and whatnot. But lucky enough, for those who were a bit able, there was a very high trend of adapting online resources, Google Classrooms and whatnot. I even have my daughter who was attending Google Classrooms that were hosted online. But even for those who are not that privileged, the government of Tanzania took a number of initiatives, because I think Tanzania Education Authority had television programs that were delivering educational content for those students or families that don't have access to internet and endpoint devices like the other students. So COVID has really sparked the adoption of technology enhanced learning in Tanzania, I would say, and I think that's the trend. It's going to be around for quite some time, and it also goes hand in hand because Tanzania has a very high internet penetration rate. So I think in the next 2 to 3 years or 5 years, I think that's going to be the main mode of delivering or even assessing education in our country.
So maybe just that you mentioned the internet penetration there. Would you say that in terms of affordability, has it reached a level where it is not an inhibitor for any student regardless of their circumstances, that they're able to access and learn freely, unlimited? Or what are the current sort of price points? Just give us a sense in terms of affordability and so on. Yeah.
Well, that might be a problem, because maybe I may not give you the exact figures, but from a number of reports, the amount of data packages, the so-called medium data packages that are mostly affordable to everyone else are not that cheap in Tanzania as compared to our neighboring countries, maybe Kenya or Uganda. You might say that when it comes to the higher data packages, then we are cheaper, but the medium ones, which are most affordable to almost all population, are not that cheap. So that again might be a constraint in the long run. But there are a number of initiatives that are ongoing in order to address that. So God willing, in the next few years, that's not going to be a problem anymore.
Interesting. I think maybe I'll try and jump back again to Nancy, if there is also online now. We talked about the internet a lot, of course, but there has to be an end device at the end where the student is able to use. And maybe Edgar, you stick there, because I can start with you, Chris, and then I'll go to Nancy. So, you need an end device to learn. Again, if I jump back to the survey that I consulted here in Finland, they were saying only a fifth of the respondents had to acquire a new device to be able to facilitate them, allow them to do this remote learning. Only a fifth. So either they had their own devices, or then these were provided from the educational institutions, and mostly laptops. So give us a sense of, okay, what would be the situation in Tanzania if it's not happened now? Where do you see it going in the future in terms of the learning devices?
Well, as I said earlier, that training providers had a number of initiatives in order to make sure that learning continued. But the government, realizing that a number of students in the country are quite coming from families that are not very well privileged enough, but again, the level of penetration of television as a medium is quite high in the country. It's quite high in the country. So that's why I think they opted to go for televised education content, and that worked really well.
That's interesting.
That worked really well. Yes, and I believe until we get to a point whereby people are able to afford endpoint devices, being tablets, PCs, or whatnot, I think this is going to be the game. We are still going to have televised education content for quite some time.
That's interesting. I think that's an interesting insight, and it doesn't immediately come to mind, but yes, okay. Thank you. Nancy, did you hear that question as well?
Yeah, I did. And so to just build up on Edgar's point, I think one of the favorite things about it is that sometimes, when you think about technology, often I guess we tend to think of computers, tablets. The great thing about it was that. So we've seen folks like Bongo kids, they're able to learning fun and TV, radio. There's a lot of ways in which we can read the remote place, even through media such as radio, which still are proving to be quite effective. And again, smartphones, these tech tools, in the past, I suppose they were very expensive. As we move forward, technology is becoming cheaper to acquire. So the cheap smartphone that you can get is on the market, and I think the further on we go, we will these end devices being acquired more in these households and acting as that end technology within the homes and children access.
Edward, you're muted.
Sorry. Thank you. So actually, when I was muting, I was trying to tell our panelists to be muted if they're not speaking, to remove this echo. Yes. Can you, if you're not speaking, can you please mute yourself? I think Dale, if someone can get a message.
Is it about me?
Yeah, your mic is open. Yes.
Oh. Yes. Okay, sorry. By the way, Edgar, no, I'm Edward. Sorry, I think I lost you guys.
Okay.
I lost you.
Okay. Yes. Welcome.
I understand that you are talking about you have already moved to technology and how technology enhances the education, but I would like to briefly talk about myself a little bit. Sorry for taking you back.
No problem.
Yes. I'm Deo Sabokwigina. I'm from the University of Iringa. I'm the director of the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation there. And maybe why we are here is that I have heard Edgar talking about it as well from TPSF. We know the problem of unemployment of youth, and the reality is that many graduates, youth are left unemployed after graduation. So what happens is that we know that after searching for and failing to secure a job for 3 years, maybe they are going, when they don't find a job within the first year, they are going to try it next year. If they don't, maybe the following year. And maybe most likely after 3 years or to 4, they are going to say, okay, I think I'm unemployable, maybe I can't find a job, let me consider entrepreneurship. So they're going to consider entrepreneurship as a fallback option, which is okay. But the problem is that mostly in education system, we don't prepare them for that option of normally when they're in the school and at the universities and colleges, it's kind of they're ready. They tell them they're going to put on ties and so forth in the offices. So when they choose entrepreneurship as a fallback option, mostly it's that since the education hasn't prepared them for that, you find that they are lacking skills. They're lacking job skills. They're lacking business skills. But they also have got a negative mindset towards starting and running a business. So what we did at our university, we were lucky. I heard Edward, you were asking some of my colleagues.
Yes, sorry.
Yes,
sorry. So
yes.
actually, this is a very good point. It was actually the next topic in the panel.
Yes.
Yeah. What I was asking initially was
Yes.
how we were able to transit to online or remote education or learning during the COVID pandemic lockdown. So we are getting insight. But I think the point we are raising now will come back in our next discussion item, and I would like to reprise those. Yeah. So for now, if I can request you to mute, so we can close that topic before we come to this one. Hello. Yeah. Perfect. So maybe just to kind of sum up what Nancy had also brought to the table. She again underlined the importance of broadcast media, TV and radio, for remote and for remote learning and so on during the COVID period, and emphasizing this as an important medium for learning, for universal learning in a Tanzanian context. But then she also mentioned the smartphone being a platform that is, coming to a price point that will make it more universally available to all the learners across Tanzania regarding of income and so on. So maybe this is something else to keep in mind and take away from here. But in this particular part of the discussion, I had left out Anna because maybe she could come from the xEdu and Finland context, try to say something of, it seems, of course, Finland had everything, ready and done, but there is always room for innovations and improvements. So what has COVID-19 triggered as far as education and digital learning in the Finnish context? And
all right, thanks. And indeed, I think Finland was in quite a good situation because the various technologies, and especially edtech technologies, have been already used here, especially in the last years. But I guess that one of the challenges that the school closure and pandemic has highlighted, I mean, this is the challenge that was not created, but it was just highlighted from the past, is that even though we moved on to the remote learning and distance learning, the way we are providing that learning hasn't changed at all from the normal classroom learning. So if you imagine a normal school day that the kid is coming, let's say, at 9 in the morning to listen to the biology teacher, giving some PowerPoint presentation and then doing some tasks, then what happened with the school closures is that everything stayed the same, except now they would have to come at 9 a.m. to this Microsoft Teams or Zoom link and see the teacher over the camera and see the teacher sharing his or her screen and showing the same PowerPoint presentation. So I think that one of the very interesting challenges that this pandemic highlighted is how we're actually going to move to the future of education, how we're going to change our ways of teaching and start using technology in a more efficient way. Because once again, when we're talking about EdTech, it's not really about the technology itself. Technology is just a tool. But how are we using that tool? Then that's a very different and very big question. And I think that that's something that we need to solve first of all, instead of inventing some new technological solutions.
And I think well, you heard the comments from Edgar and Nancy regarding the challenges, but also the many opportunities that exist now and being highlighted from the COVID-19 situation in Tanzania. Maybe using your xEdu hat, is there something that you immediately pick up that would be interesting for you to follow up, or your colleagues there, from the Tanzanian perspective?
Well, yes, definitely. I mean, the challenge is the same, the challenge of access and how to make technology and the solutions more accessible. I mean, I understand that now it's going to take some years until we actually can talk about using smartphones for the majority of kids. But still, I would still come back to my previous statement that it's more about the process and the pedagogy that we are using. And then, well, the tech, we just use what tech is available and try to make it more efficient.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay.
Edward, I think you're muted.
Yeah, sorry about that. So thank you again, once again, Anna. And I think this COVID topic has left a lot of food for thought and maybe even exciting possibilities. But we probably, in the interest of time, we move on to the next topic, which they'll use as an entrance as well there. And essentially, it's about the future of learning, which is becoming more technology-oriented. There is also more interest on sort of hands-on learning, with maker kits and robotics and so on. I think going back to Tanzania, how is the education and learning providers and trainers in Tanzania preparing for the students for this more technology-oriented future? And if there are some shortfalls or gaps and so on, what are they, and what are the opportunities that you would wish to highlight on this forum? So maybe Dale, I start with you because I am fairly cut you off previously. So please continue, Dale, on this.
Okay, thank you very much. So I was going to tell you that at our university, we decided to start a bachelor program where students learn by doing it's a business program. It's a bachelor, we call it the Bachelor of Applied Marketing and Entrepreneurship. But in that program, students learn by doing real businesses. The idea is to make sure that they don't just acquire the conventional knowledge, but that they also develop skills and the competencies of doing. And so far, the first batch graduated in 2017, but I have to consider that until now, since until last year, 2019, among those who graduated, the 40% end up doing their own businesses, and the 60% end up being formally employed. And we are glad that normally all our graduates get employed or get absorbed in the formal employment 6 months after graduation. So for us, we call it a success. Yes. Now, so I think that's what I was going to say before. So yes. I didn't catch your question. So what was your question?
So those are very impressive numbers. But I wanted to get a sense of the technical training, the technologies, and so on that maybe your students are already learning and using in their entrepreneurial life. So how are you preparing?
Yeah, so I have to consider that we haven't delved into that a lot, but as we know nowadays, first with the social media, you find that these guys, learners, actually they have got groups in their that they use. They have these WhatsApp groups that they use, and then we do also orient them to use these Moocs as well. So every learner is really encouraged to join these Moocs and the online learning as well. So we encourage them that we tell them that knowledge will not just come from us, from coaches and the mentors who are there, but they can always learn from someone from Finland, from USA, and from anywhere else, because nowadays where you have got lots of programs and lots of platforms in Ask and all these Moocs courses that are available online. We do encourage them to join them.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
The point of Moocs
The
will
point
come
of
back
Moocs will
again.
come back again.
If I have enough time.
I have enough time.
Maybe Edgar?
Edgar?
Same.
Same question.
Can we ask Leo to mute his mic?
Yes, please.
All right. I think I can be heard by everyone, huh?
Loud and clear. Thank you.
All right. So with digital learning, okay, as good as it sounds, but we have yet to reach a point where we can use digital platforms to deliver competence based learning, because that's something that we're trying to push a lot in the country at the moment. We want to put emphasis for training providers to put more efforts in delivering competence-based curriculum as against to knowledge-based content. So we wish that we get to a point where technological advancements can enable us to get there. We want the whole process of delivering competence-based curriculum to be as interactive as possible. For instance, I am a tech guy. I'm a tech person per se. So if we are going to deliver a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science or in software developing, for instance, we would expect people, or using technological platforms, we expect students to interact and do things hands-on rather than just sitting and being spoon-fed, sitting and being spoon-fed. So we are yet to get there. But we know that with a lot of, we have a lot of partners, running a lot of interventions in pushing digital platforms in delivering education. We hope that at some point someone will come up with a solution that will enable us to do that. So that's our wish.
Thank you. I'll come back to that wish soon.
All right.
Yeah. So same question to Nancy, please.
Yeah, thank you. So learning by doing and maker education is really one of the things that we're very passionate about, and we've been championing for since we were founded. At the Hub, we design curriculums around challenges that our children face every day, everything from water to recycling to waste. And we give them challenges, or we pose these challenges to them and offer them very materials, and encourage them to also use everyday materials that surround them, to be able to also contribute meaningfully towards solving these challenges. But we realize that in this quest, we cannot do it without partners. That's why we try to work very closely with the local government. That's why we train teachers on a monthly basis through our curriculum and encourage them to apply the same in their classrooms, and even go so far as providing them very basic maker tools that they can also employ in their class. We've gone even further and approach the Tanzania institution and see ways in which we can really be able to scale this to different parts of the country. And because we've seen from what we've done so far, we've seen significant improvement in the children's calculative abilities, confidence, research, their ideation, and so on. And so this is also one of the spaces where I feel that partnership with folks in places like Finland will be really key, because we want to really bridge that creativity gap where children can be able to have peer-to-peer learning, where our teachers can be able to sort insights from their fellow teachers across the pond, and see ways in which, again, we just get that maker education going. And because it's really, it doesn't take much. And again, we are encouraging the use of everyday material. And so, yes, technology is important and those tools are key, but I feel like there's so much also that can be done while we are working towards bringing those costs of tech tools down and ensuring that we have that access.
Thank you very much, because actually in the final part of your statement, you also kind of responded to a question I was going to ask on what, in this context, what would you like to get from Finland and the Nordics? You elaborate that quite well. And maybe if I can come to the same question to Edgar, do you see any similar opportunities or similar needs as when you're looking towards Finland and the Nordics?
All right. So thank you, Edward. So I'm particularly interested in the TVET scope, in TVET spectrum, and as I said earlier, that as we're looking for partnerships that could help us in promoting, let's say, competence-based education, but even using digital platforms. We know there are a number of simulation programs that I used to teach a number of technical programs and all that. So that's an area where we really wish that we could partner up with someone very well knowledgeable in that area and see how we can replicate such technologies in Tanzania.
Thank you so much. And Deo, if I can also get something similar from you, as far as competence training and so on is concerned, and what would you wish to get from Finland?
Yeah, we definitely would also like to get such partnerships that we assist us promote this kind of learning, competence-based learning by doing, and it might maybe also include maybe even having a platform of mentors. Having a platform of mentors and the coaches from Finland, whereby a learner from Tanzania can be mentored from Finland, through a certain platform. I don't know how you call that platform, but I think it is possible for them to get coaches and the mentors from Nordic countries, and I think they will be learning a lot. They will be exposed to different culture and so forth, and I think it's going to enhance their learning.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. If I can ask you to mute. Asante. Anna, from the xEdu perspective, you've heard all this. Are there any immediate kind of opportunities that you see here going forward, and maybe you can say a few things about them?
All right, I suppose that I'm unmuted now. So there were some tech problems again, and I to the Nancy's answer, but
okay, we lost Anna, and I was getting a warning to wrap up, so I don't know if it's that which caused us to lose Anna. But anyway, let me just quickly take this opportunity to thank the speakers, our dear panelists, Anna from Finland and our colleagues in Tanzania. I think what this has managed to do, and which I hope has served the purpose of this particular session, is to really highlight the potential opportunities which are many that may exist in the education and digital education space, and we should continue to see how to explore this further through this platform and others. Okay, is one of the organizers going to help us to formally shut this down? Or?
I think you have an extra 4 minutes.
Okay. So okay, let me then use it to touch on quickly one topic that we're about to leave out. It's on the Moocs. Maybe Dale, if I can start with you. So maybe quickly, the Moocs, they're becoming more prominent in recent time, and maybe there's even some thinking that they might be disruptive as far as traditional education and learning approaches are concerned, and possibly even the word threat is used. What is your opinion on Moocs, and what role do you see them playing? Are they something that is complementary, or something that you have to, adapt to, and so on? Or Deo, if I can start with you, please.
So for me, we take it as a complementary one. Because learners cannot learn from their facilitators only. They have that's why we, as a facilitators of learning, we are encouraged to develop this learning to learn ability, the ability for them to learn from other sources, from the books, from the internet, and so forth. So the ability of this massive open online courses actually. This opportunity, it is really huge for our learners. It opens lots of possibilities, I think, because if they are encouraged actually to visit them, to visit these platforms, these Moocs and so forth, you are going to find that even the way they think, the way they argue is a little bit different, because especially in universities, lecturers think that they know, and the students are empty vessels to be filled with knowledge. But if you do accept that students are not empty vessels, they are able to learn from different sources, come there, challenge each other, discuss, have an open discussion. I think they are really important for our learners.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Edgar, maybe in 20 seconds on the same issue.
All right. Just a quick one. I would say technology enhanced learning. It should offer students the ability to access more resources. So I don't see the reason of why not to embrace the open source learning platforms. So let's embrace them and hope that they gain as much as possible.
Thank you, Edgar. Nancy, same to you. 20-30 seconds. Hello, Nancy. Yeah.
I think technology to just have a. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Please proceed.
That we don't have really. It might take a bit of time, but it will catch up with us. And the best we can do is not allowed to be left behind. And so, as much as possible, embrace it, contextualize it. We don't have to do what everyone does, but we can make use of it and allow it to serve us within our context and create more meaningful learning experiences, more meaningful teaching experiences, and overall just create the next generation leaders and community members who are more digitally empowered and can be able to use these tools in a meaningful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nancy. And I'm not going to make a closing statement. I think what you gave, I cannot top that one. And thank you so much, Asanteni Sana. And we continue to network through the platform. Thank you. Bye.
No.
Go ahead.